Hi. You're on mute.
There we go. Hi. Sorry, I was saying I'm experiencing some technical difficulties, but
Yeah.
we're getting fixed up now. Hi, we have quite
Okay.
the turnout today.
Yeah. So many persons have been joining already, and they've been so punctual. Thank you.
Well, I
Hi,
am
everybody.
excited. Hi.
Hi. Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, please just wave your hand or react. Send a reaction. Yay. So we're so excited about this webinar.
Yes, I am too. I am too. Perfect.
All right.
Um,
Um, so it's 5:31. I think we can officially start so we can respect everybody's time. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm your host. My name is Anita, and I work with Black women in project management. So, Black Women in Project Management was founded in 2020. And basically, our mission is to get more Black women in the project management industry. So, we're organizing this webinar because we think there is a need for people to learn how to craft resumes that can get them to the door so they can get their foot into the door. Because most times we've noticed that you apply for a job and you don't even get a call back. You just get an automatic rejection. So you think about it and you realize that something is wrong. So this webinar, we are hoping that this webinar will help you to learn how to craft the resume that will help you get that your dream job. And we are really excited to have our guest speaker today. She's Akira Davis. She's a project and a program manager, and she's a CEO of Accurated Solutions. She helps individuals like us. She helps professionals to craft the perfect resume with the right keywords that can get them past the ATS. So we're really excited to have her here today. And before we officially start, we'll have the good news. So for attending this webinar, you're going to get 20% off of Akira's resume services, and one person is going to win a free resume makeover. So by the end of the session, we're going to let you know how we're going to choose. Welcome again to the webinar, and we're really excited to have you, Akira. Please take the floor.
Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. So, I'm really excited about today. I want to make this pretty interactive. So, just throughout the webinar, as you come up with questions, if you can just drop it into the Q&A section in Teams, and we'll have our Q&A session at the end of the webinar. It'll also be helpful for you to have another window open so that you can practice some of the prompts that we're going to go over together. And with that, I'm going to go over ahead and share my screen here. All righty. Can everyone see my screen? Just give me like a reaction in Teams if you can see my screen. Awesome. Perfect. And drop in the chat if you have any issues seeing it. So, again, we're here to learn how we can leverage generative AI for our resume writing and utilize ChatGPT and similar tools to optimize our resume, find suitable job options, and beat the ATS. So, Sabrina can't see my screen. Alrighty. Let me try again here. One second. Okay. Let me see. Alrighty. Hopefully everyone can see now. Alrighty, Sabrina, just log off and log back on and let us know. So moving on forward here. I'm trying to. Hold on. All righty. So first up, a little bit about me, and Anita already gave a wonderful introduction to who I am. So my name is Akira. I'm the founder and CEO of A Curated Resumes and A Curated Solutions LLC. A Curated Resume specializes in making compelling resume documents and also CVs, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles that tell your unique career journey and story. A Curated Solutions LLC specializes in project management and process optimization. So project management is my bread and butter, which is why I'm doing this with Black women in project management. And so you can trust me a little bit more. Some of my credentials and background, my bachelor's degree was in integrated marketing communications, and I have been working in the marketing space and in project management for about 10 years. So it's helped me to learn a lot of skills that you can leverage for your resume building, because your resume is marketing. It's how you market yourself. It is how you brand yourself to employers. Moving on. Let's go over what we're going to learn today. So we're going to chat about a few things. We're going to chat about what exactly an ATS is and how it actually works, how generative AI can help you identify your keywords for your preferred jobs, how it can help you optimize your resume descriptions, and we're also going to go over some prompts that you can actually utilize to identify job opportunities. I would also like to mention that everybody on this call will receive an email with a link to this presentation so that you can reference it and utilize the links that are available in here. This is the time where I would like you to please open a separate window just so that you can practice the prompts in real time if you have it available to you. If not, it's okay. We're going to go over them on screen as well. Let's start with talking about the applicant tracking system and resume formatting. So the ATS is a big, scary word that is used as a buzzword a lot of times, and people often feel that it inhibits them from getting good jobs. So what the ATS is a software that recruiters and hiring managers use to streamline the hiring process. So it stores candidate info, and it also automates certain tasks such as scanning resumes, which means that sometimes recruiters don't even actually put human eyes onto your resume because it goes through the ATS. Now, what the ATS does is it actually scans your resume, searching for keywords related to the job description, and then it scores you based on how suited you are for the job. So a pro tip that I would offer is to always review the job description to find relevant keywords and include those keywords throughout your resume, throughout your cover letter. And if there are custom responses on the application, you're going to want to include it there as well. The ATS is going to scan all of these items to score your resume. And I know that sounds like a lot and a half, but we're going to go over how you can use AI to help you pull out those keywords so that it's not such a tedious process every time you go to apply for a job. Formatting is also a really, really important thing for the ATS. So again, we're talking about software here. So it doesn't really care about everything that's pretty. When it parses your resume, it's going to convert it into a plain text format, and it needs to be able to do that. So it really doesn't like decorative fonts and script fonts. It does not like pictures. I know some modern resumes will have your headshot on it, and it looks really nice and it's beautiful. The ATS will have a very difficult time reading it. It doesn't like specialized formatting, like using charts or graphs and things of that nature on your resume. So with the ATS, it is best to keep everything simple. You want a simple and a clean template. You can use color. I have had some clients that think you have to keep it black and white. A splash of color won't hurt the ATS. It mainly comes down to formatting. So that's going to be your fonts, whether or not you have pictures, and also your file type. The best file type is going to be a .docx, which is a Microsoft Word file, or a .pdf. These are the best file types for the ATS. PDF I love because when you save a PDF, it saves all your formatting as it is. Um, Microsoft Word files, sometimes when you upload them, the formatting can look a little funny, but the ATS does have, some ATSs are older and have an easier time reading Microsoft Word files. But when in doubt, you want to use those too. You don't want to use a Pages file or a .odt or anything like that when you're uploading for your job application. Let's talk about fonts. So I have some examples here of different fonts that you can use. I'm sure you guys have heard of a lot of them. They are very traditional and common fonts. This isn't a comprehensive list. Other fonts may be appropriate. For my resume, personally, I use Montserrat, which is a more modern font, but it is still very readable. You definitely want to stay away from anything that is script or cursive looking or anything of that nature. So for example, this font that I've used at the top where you see a curated resumes would not be good at all for a resume. They would not know what to do with that. So again, here are some font examples. We're looking at Arial, Calibri, Helvetica, Times New Roman, Georgia, Verdana, and Tahoma. Now, I'm sure you're wondering where you find templates. So I have provided 2 links here, and I will also open these sites on my desktop so we can take a look at them. So it's all going to depend on which platform you like to use. If you like to use Microsoft Word, then I provided a link to create.microsoft.com. And I'll also go ahead and drop these links in the chat for you so that you can take a look. And these will automatically download to your computer as Microsoft Word templates and documents. Then we have G.io. This will provide you with Google Doc templates so that you can edit directly in Google Docs. I would also like to note that if you edit in Google Docs, you can still download it as a Microsoft Word document and edit it on your computer. It just depends because I know some people don't have Word on their computer. So keep these in mind. There are thousands and thousands of templates on this site, and I know it can get overwhelming. What I would recommend is when you're on sites like this, again, the key is simple and professional. So you see you can actually filter through simple and professional. Scroll through, take a look. You're going to want to pull out ones that are going to work for what we've mentioned. So for example, this one's not going to work because it shows her headshot, and a headshot is not going to be good for the ATS. Or for example, resumes like this that have special icons aren't going to be the best choice for the ATS either. So you're going to want to look for something that is simple and clean. For example, this is a really good example of a good template to choose for your resume. Alrighty. Moving right along here. Now we have our templates. As you'll notice, the templates often come with their own order. You can rearrange things. Here is the preferred order I recommend for your resume. There's a reason for this. If you do get through the ATS, or when you do get through the ATS, because that's the goal here, and you have a recruiter look at your resume, a lot of times they do not want to spend a lot of time. They want to be able to get a quick scan and figure out what's going on with you. So I like to start with your name at the top. They need to know who you are. And of course, if you have any credentials that go after your name, such as certifications, a PMP, an MBA, things of that nature, only if they're relevant to the role. Then your contact information, you're going to want to include your city and state, even if you're applying for remote roles, because some organizations do have certain rules for which states you can be in, your number, your email, and your LinkedIn. I've also added a GitHub or portfolio. So for people who are in more creative industries that have a portfolio, or people who are in tech that have GitHub portfolios, you should post that here. And then a headline. Your headline is something that should be relevant to your industry. So something that Anita mentioned was that I am in project and program management. So at the top of my resume, it says technical project / program management, or technical and creative. project and program management. This is another really good place to get in those keywords for the ATS into your headline. Even if you don't have any experience in that specific role, for example, if I had never held the title project manager, but I'm looking for project management roles, I am going to want to make sure that keyword is in my headline. Next up is your summary. This is going to be a really good place for the recruiter to scan. It should be only 2 to 5 sentences. It should not be super long, and it should detail what you do, what your areas of expertise are, some, achievements, if you have them, if you have any that you want to mention in your summary, as well as what makes you good candidates for the roles. This is very brief and concise. Next up would be your skills section. Again, brief, concise view of skills that you have, so the recruiter can look over it very quickly and see what you do and what you're good at. Next is professional experience. A lot of us have worked in a variety of different industries and a variety of different roles. You're going to want to keep experience that is relevant to the role that you are seeking. So either something that is in that field, or if you are career switching, make sure you highlight any transferable skills for that role. You can also include volunteer experience. It is optional, but I do oftentimes see with career switchers them use volunteer experience. For example, people who may be new to project management that decided to take on a project manager role with a nonprofit organization would list that under volunteer experience, and that would be totally relevant to their resume. Next up at the bottom will be your education and your certifications. Now, I will note that I prefer to put education at the bottom of the resume unless you are a recent graduate or a career switcher. For example, if I were to decide to switch to, let's say, nursing, I don't have a nursing background, but I decided to go back to school and get a BSN. I would put that education at the top of my resume so it's front and center. The entire goal with the resume section order is to put the experience that is most relevant at the top where the recruiter can see it. For me now, applying for project management roles, my degrees and certifications are wonderful, but my experience is going to be more relevant, so I'm going to put that at the top. And lastly, just make sure the information on your resume is tailored to your relevant experience. For example, majors and things of that nature. I've seen people have, masters and things like sports management, but are applying for roles in data analytics. You might still want to note that you have a Master of Science, but maybe you don't want to put the major. It can save some space for you and it's not necessarily relevant to the role. So remember, keywords are key, and keep everything relevant to the role you're applying for. Moving on forward to part 2. This is where we're going to talk about generative AI, what it is, how you can use it for job hunting, and how you can use it to optimize your resume. So what is generative AI? Big buzzword in 2024, and it's super awesome and super helpful. So this is a type of artificial intelligence software that can actually create new content. It can create text. There are some that create images, musics, code, and it's super smart. It pulls from a massive amounts of data that I cannot even fathom, and pulls relationships from them and patterns and things of that nature. With all of its knowledge, it can help you identify jobs that you're fit for. It can help you identify keywords relevant to those jobs, and it can help you clarify your writing. Now, something I want to make very clear, because I have seen it a lot when people first discover AI and discover what it can do. It's smart. Contrary to popular belief, it's not human. It's not going to replace humans, and it's not a substitute for the work. It is a tool and assistant. It is not ethical, nor is it recommended that you copy and paste an answer directly from AI onto your resume. This is because, for one, AI has a particular writing style that is very easy to pick out by people who are familiar with AI. And you'll notice As you continue to use it, it'll tend to use bigger words. It will be very long-winded and wordy, and it won't sound human. It also doesn't always fully understand, so you need to reread it and make sure it is communicating what you want it to communicate. Use it to help you. Do not use it to do the work. Here are some links to free generative AI tools, and I'll also drop these in the chat as well. The first one is ChatGPT. I believe this is the most popular one. Oftentimes, people will use ChatGPT as a synonym for generative AI. So it is a very popular one. I do recommend it. There is also Google Gemini, which we're going to be using for our practice today. When we do our examples, I'm going to be using Google Gemini, or formerly Bard. Both of these work really, really similarly. I will say ChatGPT is a little more creative with its response. Google Gemini is very thorough with its responses. And also, if you ever use it for research, it'll provide citations and things of that nature and links that you can visit to back up what it says. There's also Google Workspace Labs. So for anybody who uses Google Docs, slides, and sheets, if you activate Google Workspace Labs, you'll be able to write with AI directly in Google Docs. And again, I'm going to share this presentation with you after the call. So you'll be able to access that link to Google Workspace Labs and access it yourself. And then there's Microsoft Copilot, which is only available on the Microsoft Edge browser. All of these tools are very similar and can help with your clarity in your writing. A lot of companies are starting to integrate AI functionality into their existing software. So please check to see if any of the tools that you use already have some generative AI options. An example I'll use is that I am a big fan of Notion, and Notion has an AI component. Um, so definitely check to see if anything that you're using currently has some AI options built into it that you can use to aid you with your writing. Moving along. Oh, okay. I buried the lead, y'all. I'm going to go back. Now I would like you to take a moment and let's open up your other window if you have it available, so that we can go ahead and practice these prompts together. And we're going to start with prompt 1, which I will also go ahead and copy and paste into the chat so you have that prompt available to you. Bear with me, y'all. I lost my window. There we go. So that is prompt 1. Let's move on forward there. So our first prompt: pretend you are a career coach. I have skills and experience in the following areas. Insert your areas of expertise. I do see the question about which tool you should open. It does not matter whether you use ChatGPT or Google Gemini. I dropped both links in the chat. You can use both. For the examples that I'll be showing you, I use Google Gemini, but either one will work. So let's break down prompt 1. Pretend you're a career coach. I have the skills and experience in the following areas. Insert areas of expertise. And I'm interested in the following things. Insert areas of interest. I also have the following credentials. Insert credentials/education. Given this information, provide me 3 to 5 suitable job options for me, along with explanations. Now, let's break down this prompt and what makes a really good prompt when you're talking to generative AI. You have to give it very clear instructions. So particularly, I want to point out how we started our prompt and how we ended our prompt. The first thing we started with was telling it how we want it to act. We said we wanted to be a career coach for this prompt. So that lets it know exactly how it should format its response, or how it should be thinking when it thinks about how to respond to us. And then we ended with telling it very clearly exactly what we need from it. We said we need 3 to 5 suitable job options, and we need explanations, because why did you say I'm a good person for that job? Another pro tip here, for example, in this section, we have skills and experience in the following areas, interests, and credentials. If you already have a resume on hand that's up to date, feel free to just paste that in there. Feel free to just say, here's my current resume, and I'm interested in the following areas. Given this information, provide me with 3 to 5 suitable job options. Um, if you have a resume, that's great. That gives more information. With AI, the more information you can give it, the better, the more specific your answer is going to be. So moving on to a sample of how I use this prompt, since we are Black women in project management, since we are Black women in project management, I am going to show you examples based on somebody seeking a job in project management. So the way that I prompted it was pretend you are a career coach. I have skills and experience in the following areas: project management, cross-functional collaboration, Scrum, marketing, and technology. I'm interested in the following things: programming, data analytics, working with others, and leading a team. I also have the following credentials: Google Project Management Certificate, bachelor's degree in marketing. Given this information, provide me with 3 to 5 suitable job options for me, along with explanations. So, looking at this, let's see how Google Gemini responded. As you can see, here's the prompt that we just read. It said, absolutely. With your project management skills, your marketing background, and your interest in both technical and collaborative aspects of work, here are 3 to 5 job options to consider. The 5 that it recommended were digital project manager, product marketing manager, marketing analyst, scrum master, and marketing technologist. So it also provided explanations for why all of these roles are a good fit based on what we've mentioned we're good at and what our interests are. I also find this type of prompt really, really helpful for people. This is really, really helpful for people who are looking to find certain roles or are looking to get out of their current role but don't know where they would be a good fit. You can use your current resume along with what you're interested in. So, for example, I had a client who is currently doing more clinical bedside work who was interested in staying in the healthcare field but getting out of the clinical space. So, they're able to put in their experience and say, my interests are working remotely, and then ChatGPT or Google Gemini can provide you an answer for that. For the purposes of the other 2 prompts that we're going to be doing today, we're going to use this first example, which is digital project manager, which says this role leverages your project management expertise perfectly while incorporating your interest in technology and marketing. You'll oversee digital marketing initiatives like website launches, social media campaigns, or SEO projects, and your marketing knowledge helps you understand campaign goals, while your technical skills ensure smooth execution with developers and designers. I did see somebody mention that this is more like skill mapping. I will say that we're going to have multiple prompts available during this session, so I also wanted to include prompts that are going to be helpful for people who are trying to find different jobs that they may be a fit for. I get a lot of clients who aren't really sure where they want to go or what kind of roles they're looking for. They just know that they want something new and they don't know what they'd be qualified for or what fits their interests. So we're going to stick with this digital project manager role for the rest of the prompts. So just keep that in mind. That's just going to be our example. And now we're going to move on to prompt 2, which I'm also going to paste into the chat. Prompt 2 is going to focus on finding keywords that are going to be used in your resume. So as we mentioned, the ATS is big on keywords. It's going to scan your resume to find keywords that are appropriate to the job. So the question is, how the heck do you figure out what those keywords are? So the next prompt tells ChatGPT or Google Gemini to first pretend you are an ATS. We wanted to pretend it's the applicant tracking system that's scoring us. I am interested in applying for a job as insert job title. Here is the job description. That is optional because if you're still in the general stage where you haven't found a job description yet, you don't have to include it. I do recommend finding a job description that is something that you'd be interested in. And if you have, the bandwidth and capacity, try to find keywords for every single job that you're applying for. And the more information you give to AI, again, will be the better. Given this information, provide me with a comprehensive list of keywords that you would look for in my resume to gauge my suitability for this role. Again, having a sample job description can really, really help a lot. This is because a lot of times roles within different companies will have the same title, but look for different keywords. An example is right now we're looking at jobs that are for digital project management. Some digital project managers are managing website projects. Some are managing digital social media projects, and those are going to have different skill sets, different softwares, different keywords. Alrighty, so I used two examples here. One where I just told it that I was interested in applying for a role as a digital project manager. One where I told it I was applying for a role as a digital project manager, and I also provided it with a job description for a role that I'm interested in. So looking at the first one where I just told it that I'm applying as a digital project manager, it pulled the following keywords, a pretty long and comprehensive list of keywords that are important to roles in digital project management. They also broke it down into sections for us. So general project management, specific to digital project management, tools and technologies that might be important, soft skills, and bonus keywords. So you're able to use this list and figure out how to incorporate it into your resume. We'll also talk about in our next prompt how you can use ChatGPT to incorporate those keywords into your resume. For the one where I actually provided it with a job description, as you can see, the prompt is pretty long. I pulled this from an opening that Medeo currently has for a digital project manager for their agency. Now they're able to pull it directly from that job description. As you see, this list of keywords is a little more concise and it is tailored to the role. So now they're talking about content management systems. They're talking about WordPress and Drupal. They have a bit more specific project management software. It also lets us know where in the job description is telling us certain things are optional. It has a soft skills section, but now you see it is a lot more tailored and specific to that role. So this is just a really good way to find keywords that are going to be relevant to the job that you're looking for. The next prompt is going to go over how you can use ChatGPT to add these keywords into your resume descriptions to make them better. And I am going to drop this prompt into the chat as well. So prompt 3 is about incorporating keywords into your resume. For this one, I tell it to pretend to be a professional resume writer because we wanted to write something that's going to look good on a resume. So it needs to know it's not an ATS anymore. It is a professional resume writer now. I'm interested in applying for a job as insert job title. As you can see, we are starting all of our prompts with this. We're providing it with clear information. Again, an option for here is the job description. Paste the job description, and then optimize the following resume description to include keywords and responsibilities relevant to the role, and then paste in a description from your resume. Now, I'd like to note a few things here. If you've already done the exercise from prompt 2, where they provided you with keywords, then you can just ask it to optimize the resume description using the keywords that it pulled, or you can copy and paste the keywords into this prompt instead of recopying and pasting the job description. This prompt is purely set up for if you just enter the software and you don't have any keywords or anything yet, this is how you do it all in one. I'd also like to note, again, AI has its own writing style. it can be really wordy, and it can provide a lot of unnecessary filler words. So it'll be like, provided comprehensive training to do XYZ, when that's not necessarily necessary. You can say, I led the training to do this. So always review, revise, make sure things are clear and very readable. And again, if you already have those AI generated keywords, you can just provide it in the prompt and say, hey, here are the optimal keywords for this job. So I provided, excuse me, y'all. I provided 2 examples for this one, where I pasted the description from the resume in both, and then in one of them, I utilized that job description again. So for the first one, I said that I am a digital project manager. Optimize the following resume description to include keywords and responsibilities relevant to the role. This is just part of a description that I pulled from some examples online, that mentions on promotion to this role. I project managed 3 large digital projects, each of which became award-winning solutions. Projects were delivered on time and in budget. Duties include XYZ. So it provided this answer, and this is why you should always reread it, because this is A, super long, and likely super repetitive. So it says, promoted to digital project manager, successfully leading and delivering 3 award-winning digital projects, utilize strong project management methodologies to ensure on time and under budget completion, 3 to 30% and cost savings. And then it breaks down some responsibilities: stakeholder management, cultivated strong relationships with key stakeholders; business analysis, conducted thorough business analysis; requirements gathering; resource management, risk management; issue resolution, you name it. A lot of these things, as you can see, we didn't expand on these. We didn't expand on these in the original description, and AI was able to expand on them for us, as well as include more of those keywords that we mentioned that would be important for digital project management. Now, let's see how it behaves when we actually give it the job description. So I use the same resume description and the same job description from before. So that was the description for the role with Medeo. As you can see, it's really long. That's why I don't have all of it on the slide. And then the resume description that we just went over. So it's able to expand it even more and elaborate on things that are specifically important to the Medeo role. So, proven digital project manager with 3+ years of experience leading award-winning social impact projects, skilled in project scoping, planning, execution, and reporting to ensure on time and under budget delivery, adept at stakeholder management, communication, fostering collaboration. Then it highlights key achievements from what you did. And it also highlights skills aligned with Medeo's values. I think it's really, really important to include things related to values for the company in your resume or your cover letter. It just lets them know that you really paid attention to the job description and that you're actually interested in working for this company versus just finding a job. So, passionate about using storytelling and technology to create meaningful digital experiences and inspire action on social issues. Strong attention to detail, et cetera, et cetera. So again, with these responses, I would take them to your resume document, review them, make sure it is communicating exactly what you actually want to say, and then also cleaning it up to remove any sort of filler words or things like that. Another reason I really like Google Gemini is I feel like it's less wordy at times than ChatGPT. Alrighty, so those are the only 3 prompts that we're going to be doing today. However, there are other use cases for using AI. So the first thing that I will recommend is anything you need help with AI, I think you can get it done. All it is just talking to them how you would talk to a friend. How would you ask me to help you if you were to hire me as your resume writer? You can ask ChatGPT those same things and see what answers it will provide to you. So 3 use cases that I think would be effective are to ask AI to provide you with a blueprint or template for your cover letter that is tailored to the role that you have in mind. So, for example, pretend you are a professional career coach or resume writer. Here is my resume. Here is the job description. Can you provide me with a blueprint for my cover letter? And it'll literally tell you what to talk about in each section, or which skills you should highlight in which area. Number 2 is you can ask it to act like an ATS again and actually score your resume. So once you've revised it, or if you feel that your resume is already really good, tell it to act like an ATS. Take a look at your resume and based on this job description, provide you with a score. How do they think that you would score if you submitted your application for this role? The other thing is to use it for interview prep. I have done this before and it has come up with questions that have really made me think a lot. So provide it with a job description and have it develop sample interview questions for you to practice ahead of time. Another really interesting way to do this is to actually tell it to ask you one question at a time and also ask it to rate your responses. So in summary, AI is a very useful tool, but it does not replace humans. It does not replace doing the work. It is there to help you. You never want to copy and paste anything directly from artificial intelligence. Um, the ATS, as scary as it sounds, it's really just scoring your resume based on how well it aligns with the job description. So keywords are going to be important, and making sure that everything is readable is going to be important. Simple is better when it comes to formatting and when it comes to wording. Um, I've had to learn this myself because I'm somebody who I like to talk and I like to be wordy and I like to be describe it a lot. Keep it simple. And when describing your resume, if there are other things that you want to expand on that might make it too lengthy and wordy, you can explain it in your cover letter, you can explain it in an interview, but always keep it simple when it comes to formatting and wording for your resume. And when you're using AI, the more information that you provide, the better it will be able to help you. And with that, we can move along to our Q&A section of the call. And I'm really excited to
Well,
chat with all of you and answer your questions.
yeah, that was a really wonderful session. Lots of
Thank you so
knowledge
much.
bombs, a lot of information,
Thank you.
a lot of tips that we now know. So I think we'll go through the chat section and the Q&A section to ask the questions. And all right, I'm gonna read out the questions to you, and then you can. All right, I think the first question we have here is from Sabrina. She asked, does having two columns affect the ATS?
Having two columns doesn't affect the ATS. I like to use columns a lot of times in resumes that I make. I would say what will really impact it is if you use like chart formatting, I would avoid charts. Columns are fine.
Okay. The next question is from Charisma. Said thoughts on using all the keywords suggested to me in the resume, but in white font to hide it.
I've heard of this. I wouldn't do that only because of how the ATS parses your resume. It will pull it out, and then if a recruiter looks at it, they're going to be a bit confused as to where these came from. So I would recommend figuring out how to incorporate it into your description or your summary. And if you can't get it into there, incorporating it into your cover letter, maybe saying something like, I have knowledge in XYZ areas, et cetera, even if it wasn't part of your responsibilities for previous roles.
Okay. I hope that answers the question. All right, so the next question here, can you share a demo resume on Google Gemini? This is from Mani.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
A question from Mani. Can you
Okay.
share a demo resume on Google Gemini? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'm hoping that you do.
I think they're asking me to share like do you want to see a resume that was fully generated by Google Gemini? I don't believe that I have one of those. I oftentimes, again, use AI as a tool or assistant for me when I'm writing resumes. So, how can I make this sound clearer? Or when I'm doing research on industries that people are interested in. I can provide you guys, when I email you, just a link to my resume so you can take a look and see how it's optimized.
Okay. And a question from Ray. Do you feel you have to have a PMP certification to get a job?
I don't think you need a PMP certification to get a job. I have been in project management as my title since 2021. I just got my PMP certification this year. And when I started, I did have my master's degree, but I did not have a PMP or any project management certifications. I've had many colleagues who have not had any certifications at all. Um, the other thing is that the PMP is meant for experienced professionals in the field. You need 3 to 5 years of experience even in order to qualify for it. So you definitely don't need it to get started. Um, if you are looking for a good entry level cert, I recommend the Google Project Management Certificate. It's really, really good. It goes over a lot of foundational topics for project management. And it also talks about which skills from your jobs that you may not have thought about are transferable, what job titles to look for, and even how to prep for interviews.
That actually now brings me to the next question from Sabrina. She says, how to move forward after doing all the steps and still not getting any interviews. I have a project management certificate through Google and over a decade of experience in education. I am applying to education coordinator positions with no luck yet.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry. This job market has been very challenging. Um, what I would recommend if you have followed all the steps and you're still not getting interviews is, again, continue to look at your resume and continue to look at the job descriptions and continue to optimize, make changes. I know when I was in the job market, I was revising my resume like once a week until I started getting calls back. So sometimes it's about finding different keywords to use when you're applying. I think also getting creative with how you're searching for jobs. So doing outreach to recruiters on LinkedIn, following any creators who post jobs in that field, and also networking with former people in the industry. And also, again, just making sure that you're highlighting those skills and just please keep the faith. The job market right now, it is kind of taking people a couple of months on average to find new jobs because it's just, there's a lot happening that is just out of our control. So just how to maintain resilience and use your free time to improve your resume and upskill, upskill, upskill. Learn as much as you can.
Yeah, I was going to add that it's important to keep upskilling because as we apply, we also need to know what it is that we're doing, that we're not doing, and have to try to bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question, how do we know which words to use when using AI? It seems like a very gray area.
Um, I want to make sure I understand the question. This is from Moni, right? I don't know if she can come off of or wants to come off of mute and explain a little bit. Or if she's able to. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were.
Money, let me see if she's here so she can.
I found her.
Okay. I think I found. Did you find it already?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right. So, Money, please, can you ask a question?
It's okay. I can, if she doesn't want to come off of mute to explain it, I can try to answer it as best as I can. Um, so to know which words to use with AI, I would just, it's not specific words as much as it's how they word it. So a lot of times, for example, if you get ChatGPT to revise your resume, one word that I notice it really likes is spearheaded. Spearheaded is a great word, but if you see that you've used it to like utilize a lot of your resume bullets and or to revise a lot of your resume bullets, and now all of them say spearheaded, that's not something that you want to do. You want to try to find a synonym. Also, read it out loud. For me, it really helps to hear it. And sometimes I'll read a sentence out loud or read the description together and realize that it conflated some things that I gave it together, or it's being very repetitive. So I wouldn't say that it's word specific. Just read it out loud and ask yourself if it sounds like a human wrote this or if it sounds clear.
Okay. Hopefully that answers the question, Moni. Um, should we have both the hard skills and soft skills sections separately in the resume?
No. I would recommend putting them together, just a regular core competency section and keeping them together. I will say if you're looking into more technical fields, like software development or technical program management, then I would have a technical skills section and then a core competency section with a technical skills section that reviews like programming languages that you know more of or softwares that you're familiar with, because I do see those use cases a lot. I don't think that you have to separate it into hard and soft necessarily.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How many resumes should you have? I have done technical support and project manager.
I think you should have resumes tailored to whichever roles that you're looking for. So if you're looking for technical support and project management, then have two resumes for those roles. One that's tailored to technical support roles and one that's tailored to project management roles. If you want to take it even a step further, make a new resume for every job that you apply for. However, I know that's not always the most realistic thing. But example I'll use is I was looking for roles that were in project management, product management, and marketing. So I had a project management resume, a product management resume, and a marketing resume.
Okay. A question from Ernest. Many governmental project management roles require CVs. Does
Mhm.
ATS screen CVs?
Yes, it will scan your CV for keywords as well. And I know CVs tend to be a lot longer, but just make sure you're tailoring job descriptions on there the same way that you would for a resume.
All right. Another question from Ray. Is it hard to get into a project manager role in the government field with 5 years of experience?
I think that would depend on exactly what areas of experience that you are working in. The other thing I would recommend for a government role is making sure you're tailoring it to a federal resume. So look up templates for federal resumes and CVs, as was mentioned in the previous question. But it's going to be really the same ball game of making sure you have those keywords in your resume.
Okay. We have more questions coming in now.
Okay.
All right. So, another question by Money. Say, how can we as job seekers know which keywords the ATS is looking for without it being flagged as being too AI generated? I tend to use words from the job description, but is that bad as well?
No, that's not bad. I recommend using, I can't remember, was it prompt two? Prompt two, yeah. Use prompt two or prompt three because they'll be able to pull keywords from the job description. You should use keywords from the job description when you can. Um, it won't be flagged for being too AI generated. Just reword the writing. Remember to use it as a tool. Don't copy and paste anything from there.
I prefer to leave out my city and state because I do not want possible future employers to be deterred by where I may live. Does this happen often?
I have never seen an employer be deterred by where somebody lives. But if you don't want to put your specific city and state, you can also do metro area. So for example, I have candidates who might be in New Jersey and surrounding areas, and they'll just put NYC Metro. One good way to figure out what metro area you're in is when you set your zip code on LinkedIn, it'll oftentimes give you different metro areas. So I'm in Durham, North Carolina, but it's Raleigh, Durham Metro. So if I was in a surrounding area, I could just put that.
Okay. What if the person is outside of the USA and the job says US remote and they have the skills and they would like to apply for that role, but they don't live within that area? Do you think that's going to be misleading to apply for that role despite not living in the area?
Yeah, I think if it says that it's specific to the United States, you do have to live in the United States. So you want to pay a lot of attention to that. Sometimes I try to ignore location requirements and I've tried to apply for jobs and I have immediately gotten rejected. This is because just for laws and tax purposes, sometimes the company doesn't have permission to operate in other countries or in certain states. So definitely pay attention to those location requirements if they are outlined there.
Okay. We have just about 4 minutes before we round up.
Yes.
Let's quickly go through these questions. Okay, so here, employer usually requires the knowledge on some software for project manager, I heard. What is the best way to go with this, especially if you have not held a PM role? Would the Google certificate help with that? What is your advice?
Yeah, the Google certificate doesn't go over too many specific project management softwares. Um, I would say that every project management software, you are able to be coached and you are able to learn it. So I wouldn't say that it should be too much of a challenge. I would highlight your technical adeptness in your cover letter. The other thing is if you really want to get familiar with these softwares is to just start using them personally. Um, ClickUp, Asana, and Notion all have free versions that you can utilize yourself to get familiar with. So I have my own account on all of them and I've played around with them and I actually really enjoy it. I like playing around with the softwares. But they will teach you how to use those softwares on the job. Sometimes they want you to have a general familiarity for ones that might be more complex, like Jira, but mainly things like Monday, Asana, Trello, or ClickUp. Very learnable, but feel free to get one of those free versions.
Okay, we have just the time for just enough time for one more question, but I'm going to put two questions
Okay.
together. All right, so first question, are there any specific project management tools that you can advise we would need on the job as a project manager? And the second question, which is really short, what is the standard page of a resume? How many pages should a resume have? I think that's the question.
Um, so specific PM tools, I think it's going to come down to what types of projects you're managing. I am a big fan of ClickUp for larger projects using multiple teams. Asana is also really good for that. I just think that ClickUp has a lot more functionality out of the box and free. If you're looking for like general task management for your personal use, I'm a big fan of Notion. For the length of a resume, a lot of times people will get bogged down on that one page rule. One page is good. However, if you have 10 years of experience, it can be really hard. 10 years of relevant experience, it's really hard to oftentimes fit that into one page. So I would say the maximum is 2. I would not go above 2 unless you're working on a CV.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Um, we have just 1 minute left. And I would like to thank you, Akira, for coming on this webinar. I also like to thank everyone for joining us. It's been a pleasure hosting you today, and it's been wonderful to have you all. I hope we've learned a lot, and I hope that we can utilize this knowledge that we've acquired today to craft a resume that's going to help you land the job that you want. Remember that someone is going to be walking away from this webinar with a free resume makeover. So remember that, and we're going to send you an email to let you know if you want this free resume. And also, if you want to utilize Akira's services, we're going to send you her website as well, and you're going to get 20% off just for attending the webinar today. Okay. Thank you everyone
I'm
again. Happy
thank you.
Easter. Have a lovely weekend.
Have a lovely weekend. Thank y'all for
All
having
right.
me.
All right. Bye
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.